Good morning and welcome to Deefer Diving's YouTube channel and this episode of our D4 Diving podcast. Today we're going to have a look at some of the topical things that are going on in the scuba diving world and some things that are happening with us too. So without further ado,
let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So the first thing I wanted to have a look at was, over the last couple of weeks, Garmin dropped a new product on us. Now I have to admit, I hadn't been watching the market, I hadn't been listening to news or views or perspectives, so it actually came as a shock to me that Garmin launched the G1 range. I'm quite impressed with the G1 range, I must admit. Now, for those people who've watched the channel and being aware of me and the diving that I do, I love the Garmin Descent range.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. I've got a Mark 1. I've coveted the Mark 2 for a while. I've reviewed the Mark 2 and the Mark 2i, and I do like the Mark 2. And if I didn't have the Mark 1, I would definitely buy the Mark 2. One of the downsides with the Mark 2, though, is its price. When you consider it's $1,200 for the base unit, and then by the time you've added
15 for the
exactly, by the time you've added the eye and a pod, you're up at $1,500–1,600, and that's a fair bit of cash to throw down on a dive computer. So the G1, well, the G1 looks to have almost all the same functionality as the Descent Mark 1, the MK1, or the MK2 I should say, with a monochrome display, has a G-Shock, Casio G-Shock kind of look and feel to it.
It's not quite as pretty.
No, I accept that, but if you're into the adventure sports market, and you're a G-Shock type user, then it's kind of got that rugged appeal to it. It doesn't look like it's a soft
I feel
watch.
like you wouldn't worry so much about damaging it either.
No,
or getting it scuffed and marked.
And that's the key thing. And the important thing is the price point. I mean, for the base unit, it's under $500, I think.
Which is
or it might be £500. I can't remember. I might be reading an article.
I think it is $500.
Okay.
I might be wrong,
but it's an impressive looking unit, and then I've not looked at how effective it is, but one of the things I really like from their premium product, solar charging, and for us in our environment, and I have to admit that's one of the downsides with the Descent, is having to remember to charge it. But if we're out and about and it's able to use a small solar cell to charge, and therefore the time between physical charges becomes such that I'm liking it.
You can charge it on a surface interval.
Well, maybe not that much,
but you can get a bit back into it.
Certainly if we were diving and finished diving at lunchtime and we're just wearing it as we're about and it's able to charge itself so that you're almost never having to recharge, then that's a really, really good thing. Nora, do you want to switch the tap off before that overflows?
I hadn't even noticed. We've just been
if anybody needs a bath, then, you know, feel free.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I. So ultimately, I think what I'm saying where it comes to the Garmin Descent G1, I'm going to try and get my hands on one. I'm going to try and do a proper review over the next couple of weeks. But I think I'm a fan. I quite like the idea of it. If
I was buying a new dive computer now, that's one that I would be considering. So, keeping in the technical sphere, another development that's coming out and has been coming out over the last few months, ever since DEMA really, is the Avelo system. I know you're not a major fan of it, but it seems to be a very lightweight dive system, doesn't require weights, doesn't require a BCD, works with any wetsuit fitting us up to a dry suit as well, and it works with cylinders that pump in an air to water mix which controls your buoyancy, and you only have to change it 2–3 times a dive. There are downsides to it. It needs filling to a pressure of 300 bar. Not many places will fill that, and if they do, they're charging more for it.
Yeah.
I personally just think it's a cool idea. I think it's a interesting new development in the diving world, which isn't where it needs to be to become accessible to everyone yet. But I think it's a step in the right direction to a very new, updated dive system. And you're going to rip it now.
Yeah. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love innovation. I love new things. But one of the you've heard me say it before, and I've mentioned it many times in conversations. One of the things I find with some technology solutions is that we create technology that's trying to find a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. And this, for me, is one of those. Now, I understand it insofar as there is the potential for a lighter weight system. But a lighter weight system that includes a tank isn't lighter weight. Because if I'm a traveller, I'm going to go on holiday, I'm going to take my dive system with me.
Yeah.
I don't want to take a tank, because the tank's the heaviest part of the system.
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do is buy an Avelo, which is a dive system in a tank, which means it's going to be more cumbersome and more heavy than the dive system I owned in the first place. That's the first issue. Or, as Avelo are suggesting, it's going to be dive operators that are going to invest in this and therefore rent it to you. At what price? You know, at the end of the day, a tank which is robust, you know, they're hard wearing, they last a long time, and they're inexpensive. We're now going to change it to a more expensive system at a premium. So I don't know, whilst it's an interesting engineering solution, and maybe I'd be prepared to be proved wrong when I see it in the field, if I see it in the field, if it ever gets into the field, but it's one of those things where I can't help thinking this is a clever engineering solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Because at the end of the day, we've got, you know, a fairly expensive sport where the equipment is already fairly expensive. We're now going to add another layer of cost and complexity for what?
True.
And the idea of using a hydro pump system to pump water into your tank to create weight and ballast, and really,
I understand your reservations, but I think any innovation is good innovation, especially in diving at the minute, where it has been the same setup, especially on open circuit, for a long time now.
I agree, but there's a reason why it's been the same. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And where we've gone with, you know, taking weights from being on a weight belt to integrated to tank mounted, and all these different things, these little nuances that fix the system. But let's be honest, it's where it is right now because it kind of works. I'm not going to say that it can't be made better. I'm not going to say that. But with this solution right now, I'd need to see its price. I'd need to see its robustness. You know,
I think if it was on market at the minute, we'd be able to give more. But
and it's a sort of thing where, you know, if I look at a scuba tank right now and say, you know, if I retail bought a scuba tank and a valve, it would cost me maybe $150. Let's just throw that out there as a number. If this is $1,500, then it's dead in the water straight away.
Yeah.
If this is $185, all right.
I mean, it's dependent though then if you're talking about the whole unit or just the cylinder for it.
Well, it'd have to be the whole unit.
Well, yeah.
And that's where, you know, if you're buying an Avelo unit and it's up there at the same sort of price as a semi-closed rebreather or a fully closed rebreather, then
I think if it's
dead
anywhere
in the water.
near that, it's dead automatically.
And so
it's got to be somewhere near the price range of a BCD and a tank.
Okay, let's move on quickly. Good news for us and good news for you. Government of Grenada this week announced that it is removing all travel restrictions on people being able to come to Grenada, which means that you guys are able to come to the wreck diving capital of the Caribbean without needing to take a COVID test, without needing to take tests when you arrive, without any quarantine requirements, all from the 4th of April. So if you're thinking about getting a nice end of winter, early spring diving trip in,
we're here.
Think about Grenada. More importantly, think about Carriacou. Jonny.
Yes.
POWERRAY.
Okay, so
now this is cool.
I think this is cool.
This is cool.
I think it's, again, niche market, but it's cool. POWERRAY, well, I think the company Power Vision, which create a lot of drones and surveillance technology, have released a underwater drone that they're calling the POWERRAY. They have had drones before that are purely surface based. I can't remember the name of that one, but now they've taken it underwater. And ordinarily I'd be saying with this, okay, it's for people that want to snorkel but go deeper, or people on boats that want to take some pretty photos for Instagram. What's interesting about it though is it comes with fish scanning sonar. It measures the depth, the temperature. It's able to traverse over fishing lines, over difficult terrain. I'm not sure what the depth is on it, but
well, it's tethered, so
it's tethered to the surface. Yeah, so the depth's going to be reliant on that.
Yeah, and the distance it can go is reliant on that. So it's the remote control element of, there's a control unit on the surface that can be dragged around by the unit, and then you use a remote control, it looks like an Xbox controller, to control the device underwater. The bit that I like, $1,000 for this unit, comes with VR goggles, first person view of what's going on down there, and you can record it all onto the controller unit. I think it's cool as hell.
For $1,000, it's not cheap, but it's not crazy.
It's not crazy when you consider the price of an aerial drone.
That's true, actually.
And you consider the price of a decent underwater camera, and that's going to be the key thing: is what's the video footage like, and how usable is it? Because
I've seen some of the footage, and it's good.
Yeah, and that for me, I think is quite an exciting thing, because the idea then being is that, you know, you can have some non-diving friends on the boat, and they can enjoy your dive.
I hadn't even thought of that. They could be following along behind you.
Bingo. And that for me is I like this. This is a bit of technology where, you know, we've got underwater cameras, we've got drones, we've got I like this. I like this.
It's got so many other uses as well, past just tourists and recreational. You could use it for things like scientific analysis of fish population, reef health.
Absolutely.
It's got, for things like our Brabs project we run here, it's got the ability to drop bait in. So you can send that down with your bait.
Yep.
See what it picks up.
And more importantly, if it's not as intrusive as divers in the water, then you can use it for monitoring.
Yeah. Apex predators, fish in general, aren't going to be scared of it. You're going to see a real reef. Yeah. Or as close to as we can get.
Unless you're on a rebreather.
Yeah, but even then I'd still think you with a big is a bit scarier than a...
No, that's just me though. Yeah, me with a big... I'm scary to anybody.
True.
Yeah, but anyway, I like the idea of the POWERRAY, and I definitely want to see this one in action. So one day, maybe.
If someone could bring us one, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. So a little bit of old news. Something that came out in January, which I've been mulling over and thinking about, and that's this new reef discovered in Tahiti. And why is that interesting to me? Well, obviously, having some scientists find a new reef system these days is pretty impressive anyway, but the bit for me that's the most relevant to it, it's a pristine reef. I love the look of it. I've seen some of the photos, seen some of the video of it. The two bits that get me is the size of this reef at nearly 2 kilometers long.
Huge.
It's huge, but also the depths, where starting at about 30 meters, 100 feet, dropping down to over 200 feet, you know, kind of 60 meters, means that it's a deep reef system. And the facet for me that I find most interesting is that's typically beyond the depths at which recreational divers will dive. And let's be honest, most technical divers will dive at that depth to go and see a boat or a wreck or something like that. You know, something that we know is there. We won't necessarily do the exploration. So do we have lots of other deep reef systems that we've never explored before? And could that mean something for us with regards to the overall picture of reef health? Because obviously we're used to seeing reefs shallow. We're used to seeing reefs in the areas that have traditionally had coral reefs, and we know that globally they're in trouble. We know that we have risks and question marks over the longevity of reef systems, but if reefs are now starting to grow, populate and develop at deeper depths, is that a good thing? Is there more of it? And I'm really excited. So Jonny and I were talking earlier on, and we were talking about, we have a plot of land. It's not a plot of land, a plot of water, bitter sea, an archipelago of islands between Grenada and Carriacou, which we call Ile de Ronde. and off to the side of Ilderonde is an underwater volcano called Jenny, which is down at about 150 meters, 500 feet. And so the waters around there are going to be very nutrient rich, and
which is why we love diving around.
Which is why we love diving around there. The coral reefs are fantastic. It's a long way, and it's challenging for us to get there. But I now would like to go down there and do some deeper water exploration to see whether there's the potential for deeper reefs there.
Yeah, so I think it would be interesting if we jumped in with a couple of reef breathers, or well, just one because we've only got you.
I was about to say, what's this weed crab? You can't jump in with a breather.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, I agree, and I think that whilst it would be potentially a trimix dive, it would be a deep dive. I do fancy the idea of going in there and doing some exploration down off the southern coast of Ilderonde, just having a quick look, which brings me on to a very quick point. I'm going to be diving Ilderonde on the 30th of April.
Yes.
Yeah, I might need you just to man the shop that day. When
I think I'm gonna be busy. I'm gonna be doing this dive at Ilderonde.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm sure Dean can stay behind.
No, I need him to drive the boat.
Nora?
Yeah, Nora can stay behind. She can't dive Ilderonde anyway. She gets knocked off her head.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Fishy, have some bubbles.
Well, it's more a case of I love you, fishy. Go check a video of Nora getting knocked at Ilderonde. That's hilarious. Final point.
Yes. Oh yeah, this is me, isn't it? Sorry. Oh right. Yes. Final point. You are going to be taking a team trip down to the Big O. Yes. So one of the things we're looking at for tail end of August, 18th of August, I think we're booking it up at the moment for. I have a small group of divers, and we're going to be heading up to Florida, or meeting up in Florida, doing some rebreather training and doing some trimix rebreather training with good friend Doug Ebersol, and then heading off to Pensacola to knock off the bucket list, one of the dives that I've wanted to do for quite some time, which is to do our qualification dives for either recreational trimix or normoxic trimix on the mighty O, the Oryx Annie, which is a pretty freaking big wreck. It's 1945 launched aircraft carrier. It's at this point I want to just make it clear, I'm very jealous of this.
Yeah, so depth 64 meters, I think, to the bottom. It's a deep wreck. It's an amazing wreck. Go check out the footage and the images of the Oryx Annie if you've never tried it before. I'm super stoked about getting this trip together and organising this with some chums and some pals. Hey, if people want to come and join us, let us know. Reach in. Let's get a few guys going, girls. And girls.
Guys and gals.
Actually, let me say that. Let's get a few people interested in coming along. Let's all get together, have a good chat, have a good day's diving down on the Mighty O, and a few beers afterwards. I'm really looking forward to this one. And sorry, Johnny.
Yeah. I'll FaceTime you.
Not from the O, because
no,
Wi-Fi
for the
doesn't
beers.
work.
For the beers.
Okay, fair enough. And I can't FaceTime you.
Oh, yeah.
Don't like Apple.
I'll Samsung you.
No, just Skype or WhatsApp. You know, those generic apps work rather than.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the news from me, and as I said, really looking forward to that. If anybody's interested, as I said, I think we're aiming 18th to 24th of August. I think for a second what month. 18th to 24th of August will be in and around the Lakeland and Pensacola area. And looking to get that dive in towards the end of that week. It'll be fantastic. Really looking forward to it, weather permitting, of course. So that's it for us this week on the Deefer Diving podcast. If you've got any comments or anything you want to add, feel free to post them down in the description below. If you've got any feedback for us, or any news, any interesting facets that you think be worth us having a look at and talking about, and for Johnny doing some detailed research, then drop us a line, let us know. Most importantly, thanks for watching, and keep diving.